Coming to you live from just outside the swamp of the nation's capital. Get ready for invigorating talk, commentary, and debate on the issues affecting your life. Grab your favorite drink. It's Nightcaps with Nate. Now, here's Nate.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Nate with Nightcaps and Nate. Hey, I'm very proud to be here tonight. Glad that I'm back on this show, man. I just couldn't take it. I had a friend that said, who's always commenting, by the way, in our comments there, and she said, hey, if I was telling my husband I knew he wouldn't be able to make it all the way to September, and sure enough, I wouldn't. I'm just too opinionated, man. This has always been my dream, was to have a radio show, and thank God for internet. I pretty much have a radio show, and this is what I've always wanted to do. Like I said last night, it just got so depressing, man. It was like I needed a break. I have a full-time job. I have family commitments plus this, and I love doing this stuff. Hey, guess what? Late breaking news, by the way. It won't be on a slide, but I just want to let you know before I get into it. Make sure that you start a watch party. Spread the word. If you did not start a watch party, please go ahead and take that time to do so. All you got to do is hit share, and I think you can start like watch parties. You can share it to your own page. But starting a watch party gets your friends invited as well, and then they can get in on this train, because this show is for everybody. Yes, it is from a libertarian. Actually, I'm a Republican, leaning libertarian. I'll never, ever waste my vote. But I have libertarians that watch us that are on the show. I have Democrats that come on the show, conservative Republicans that come on the show, black, brown, everything that you could think of, females. I love it. So, make sure that you share this special thing that goes on for an hour every night. Remember, also in a couple weeks, we will be moving to an 8 p.m. slot. All right, let's slot. So let's go into this late breaking news. Comes from the FBI announces news found in Bubba Wallace's garage had been there since 2019. No federal crime was committed. Some people think it was the little hand thing that can pull down a door or something like that. A guy named Brian Lombardi, he's been on this show before. I saw him comment on Kathleen, who comments a lot on the show, whose husband is on the show. And she was saying, hey, I hope that's what it is. A lot of people are like, I'm not sure it is, but come to find out, Brian was right. Brian Lombardi, kudos to you. It says, following an investigation, the FBI concluded that the noose found in Bubba Wallace's number 43 Richard Petty Motorsports garage stall at Talladega Super Speedway on Sunday was not a federal crime. On Monday, 15 FBI agents conducted numerous interviews regarding the situation at Talladega Speedway. Kind of find out, the FBI learned that garage number 4, where the noose was found, was assigned to Bubba Wallace last week. The investigation also revealed evidence, including authentic video confirmed by NASCAR, that the noose found in garage number 4 was in that garage as early as October 29. Although the noose is now known to have been in garage number 4 in 2019, nobody could have known Mr. Wallace would be assigned to garage number 4 last week, because it's just random. And so nobody intentionally put it there. I'm hoping that it's really the hand thing and not a noose, because then I'm going to ask, hey, why we got nooses hanging up, just in case Bubba Wallace could have been there. Plus, guess what? Just because he's the only black driver doesn't mean that there's probably not pit crew or anybody who's also working. And the noose could be offensive. All right, and I think we need to be sensitive, not snowflake sensitive, but we should be sensitive to other people's feelings on our past. Also, late breaking news that I'm going to get into real quick. Sheila Ford Hamp is the daughter of Martha Ford Firestone. Now tell me that's not rich. Martha Ford married into the Ford family, and she's from the Firestone Tire Company. That's a rich family. Anyways, her daughter, I think Sheila Ford Hamp, is now going to take over as president, CEO, and owner of the Detroit Lions. Hopefully she carries on her mom's legacy, not her dead dad's legacy, and will actually fix the Detroit Lions, because as you can see, I love me the Detroit Lions. Love them. But they do perpetually disappoint me. I'm kind of like a battered wife, not to make fun of battered wives or anything like that. So those are the two late-breaking stories that I want to get to that were not on the slide. But let's go ahead and get right into the topics of tonight. First things first, mail-in ballots. 28 million mail-in ballots went missing in the last 4 elections. That's a scary, scary thing. Now, these aren't ballots that were returned to sender, couldn't be used, and all that stuff. These are actual ballots that actually literally went missing. So 28 million people over the last 4 elections requested a ballot, and nobody can verify if they even made it to the recipient or not. Why? I don't know if there's actual fraud going on there. More so is the Postal Service is a big, big thing. It's a big operation. There's lots of mistakes. That's why you always find people with, after elections, they'll find these buckets of ballots that just happen to be not delivered. So would you really trust your vote, your one person, one vote to that? And that's what the media is trying to do, because they know full well that if you have like a working mom taking care of 2 kids and a ballot comes in the mail and one of those kids happen to be a woke teenager, they're gonna mail that in for their mom. I mean, that's not proven. Of course, it's hard to prove that. Nobody's gonna go out and spend the resources to try to prove that. But that's my theory. You're gonna have a lot of close elections decided by children or dead people, as we've seen, who tend to vote Democrat. Children tend to vote Democrat. I like to say that the Republican Party, the conservative ideology, is that of the elderly for a reason. And that's why elderly, more often than not, vote Republican, because they're the grown-up people. There are elders. The Bible says respect your elders. Why? Because the elders, like in the elders of the church back in the day, or in the Indian tribes, the elders, you never ever blasphemed your elders, because they were the wise ones, the ones that have been through life. So here's the question then. If Democrats sent hundreds of thousands of fake RSVPs to a Trump rally, just imagine what they could do with mail-in ballots. And that's a true statement. And if you don't think kids will do it, I didn't think that they'd go out to the street and burn churches down either. Yell in cops' faces. Okay, these aren't the kids of the Andy Griffith day when you took your boy out to the woodshed and beat him. They are disciplined. They learn to respect for authority, okay? So, just think about that when the media tries to scare you of COVID, because that's what's going on right now. Did we hear anything while they're out burning up the streets? Or we'll even say peaceful protesters going on, which I was all about. Justice for George Floyd, okay? You didn't hear the media, maybe in passing, but not noticeably, really voraciously, just talk about COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19. Now you do. Why? Because Trump's holding rallies, then they don't like that. That's when Trump's in his element. Why? Because they don't want the campaign season to go. They want Biden hiding in the basement, hiding Biden. Why? Because he doesn't make gaffes and he beats Trump, and the media hates Trump. So now they're going to scare you with COVID-19. Oh, the cases are spiking. The cases are spiking. But as I've shown you on time after time on my Twitter, on my Facebook, on this show, the death rate is at the lowest level since March. It's just that we're testing more people, and as people find out they have COVID, they go and they take themselves to the hospital because they're scared. That's the only reason why we have so spiking cases. Now, some of it's going to be from reopening the economy. We know that's going to happen anyways. But it's managed. We're managing the flow of COVID patients. We are at the all-time lowest death rates. So it's okay. Don't buy into the media hype. Don't buy into it. They only want you to be scared to go out and vote. But guess what? If all those people can go and protest, and then the other people can go and burn down police stations and occupy Chaz, and now they're trying to make this bad, and we're going to get into this a little bit later, then they can get off their lazy ass and go vote. That's just my opinion. Next topic. Good news. Make America great, man. New home sales rise surprisingly strong, 16.6% in May over April. Okay, so it's even going to be better, hopefully, in June. By the way, I'm doing something a little different tonight. Some of the comments I may or may not read that are coming over, but please continue to comment because it is important to keep the conversation going. But a lot of these stories I was going to do today, I posted on Facebook to try to get other people's opinions, not just the conservatives that watch, but like Jeremy Colby. He's my liberal. He was actually on this show when this show first started. And you'll see Sean. He's a friend from high school, but he's a moderate, actually a moderate black guy. But he's right down the middle, man. I don't believe in moderates. I think that I don't believe in swing voters. But if I do believe in it, he's one of them. But here's more of that MAGA miracle. New home sales rise surprisingly strong. Jeremy says that's good news. He actually admits it, but the increase is compared to last May or to last April. Didn't seem clear in the article. I'm not sure what he's saying, but this is May over April. I'm sure is what they're going. All right, this next story, man. I'm telling you. Let me just talk a little bit real quick. Because David Goat, as you can see some of the comments I include on each of these slides, David Goat had it dead on. He said, again, I wonder, there are 335 million people, and this is the best that Team Blue could come up with. I agree. Buttigieg. He's the gay mayor from South Bend, Indiana, where I actually lived, a small town. Probably could have done better than Biden against Trump. Yeah, I know what the polls are saying. Oh, Trump's going to lose, Trump's going to lose. The silent majority is real, first of all. Second of all, this guy hasn't come out of his basement yet. When they start debating, I honestly believe Trump is going to, if Trump can stay on message, and I've always said that, cut off his Twitter fingers, right? Just cut them off. But if he can stay on message, he could win this election in a landslide once the vision gets out. Because this is the best he could do. This guy was on a radio show, again, pandering for the African-American vote. This time he didn't flub up and say, if you're black and you're thinking of Trump, then you're not black, okay? He didn't do any of that. He kind of got a little do-over. But listen to this guy when he's talking about what kind of music he's listening to. Paul says here, pandering for $100. And the answer is, what is Joe Biden? Like at Jeopardy. And Sean says, this is, by the way, the moderate friend of mine, Sean Christian Jones. I hate to be an ageist here, but damn, he comes across as just old and out of touch. All right, so the radio host here or whoever this is says, hey, man, what kind of music have you been listening to, man? What do you got on your playlist? And this question was also given to Hillary back in 2016. You notice that Democrats always get the fluff questions. I never hear the Republicans get fluff questions, but here you go. Let me get this sound up. All right, I'll see what's going on with this.
Variety. I like a variety of music, and
Right.
And so for me, it goes all the way from dealing with folks like Celine Dion, who's not doing much right now. She's starting back in a big way, all the way to listen to some hip hop artists. But
Oh, I bet. Conveniently, he's talking to a black guy, and he likes some hip hop artists. His handlers told him to say that. Okay, so then he gets put on the stump. Okay, well, who?
Absolutely.
And by the
So
way,
pump you up before you go on stage. Like everybody has that one song before you go on stage. Like one song you like to listen to kind of get you up and ready.
well,
fired up.
there's a bunch. One of the ones I like is that well, I shouldn't even say it probably. But
Who? Did he either forget or did he have some filthy thing in mind, like little girls, R. Kelly peeing on little girls or something? But let's keep going.
what I like is that the song "You're the Best."
Right.
And I like it because it reminds me of my wife, and I just like up tempo.
Guys, this is him on his best Alzheimer's meds. Okay, whatever he's getting, the best treatment in the world. You know, presidents, ex-presidents get the best doctors. That's why Jimmy Carter, stays alive with brain cancer. You know, that's why George H.W. Bush was jumping out of airplanes on his 90th birthday, because they get the best medicine. Okay, this guy is not well. He is not well. He's barely making it through interviews, and he's got softball questions coming to him. This is why he says stupid stuff on his best days. This guy is not well, and I don't know what the hip hop song is. You're the best. If somebody can comment and tell me, that'd be great. I know R. Kelly. I am number one. No, not R. Kelly. Who's that guy out of St. Louis? Nelly. You know, I am number one or whatever. Maybe that's what he's talking about. But you're the best. But maybe y'all can tell me what he's talking about. I don't know. I listen to hip hop when I work out, and that's about it. Other than that, I'm pretty much a country guy. And Poison and the '80s hair band kind of guy. I love the '80s, but here's my thing. This reminds me of when Hillary said, when she was talking to the black radio host during her election. She's like, yeah, in my backpack I got hot sauce. All right, a lot of it's just straight up racist pandering. Okay, and that's why I like Kevin's little comment here. He says pandering for $100, and the answer is, what is Joe Biden? Like it's Jeopardy. It is so true, man. Quit. I mean, I understand. You're getting softball questions. I doubt Trump will ever get a nice interview like this. In fact, I meant to have it on here, but a Trump supporter went on Charlemagne the God show and didn't get treated even as well as that. All right, so speaking of vice president and who may be going, this little gem here all of a sudden believes in federalism. Yes, she's mad because she and other Democrat mayors, including the mayor governors, Governor Wolf of Pennsylvania and Governor of New York Cuomo, they thought it was just a grand idea to take sick COVID patients and put them in nursing homes. Such a grand idea that she, as soon as that happened, it was either her or her health secretary conveniently hurried up and moved their own mothers out of nursing homes. Okay, but it was good for everybody else because, you know, that's what socialism's all about. Oh, no, you guys stay poor while I get rich. Do as I say, not as I do. That's why when she was locking down everybody, her husband was conveniently going to try to get his boat out of the water for Memorial Day, into the water for Memorial Day, when everybody else was locked down and she was saying, please don't travel up north. Right? Oh, but he was just there to rake leaves with his boat, apparently. So now, conveniently, she's all about federalism, okay? And federalism means make strong state rights, okay? But, so the federal government now, the Senate and House, but specifically the Senate, they want to investigate whose idea was it to put people on sick. And she's coming out and saying, Whitmer won't cooperate with GOP inquiry on virus in nursing homes. She says, she says, I hope that as a member of a federal body tasked with oversight of the federal executive branch during this unprecedented public health crisis, you refrain from encroaching on the sovereign power of a state government to deal with state matters. That's cool. But you can't sit there and call yourself a federalist and then ask for handouts. This is like all those people that are mad that Trump was going to withhold money, criminal justice money, if they don't cooperate with federal immigration agents, which is the correct thing to do. But she's got her hand asking for handouts because of suffering tax revenues because she locked down her state, overly locked down her state in an effort to try to win a VP vote to be the vice president candidate. And going back to that, by the way, let me finish this thought. She's asking for money. You can't ask to be a federalist governor. I'm just sorry. You can't. In fact, I think one of my comments here says withhold Medicaid funds. Samantha Mark says, I have so many thoughts on her. At this point, she's just flat ignoring her huge mistake in this area. Let's be real. Let's go back up here. I want to back up here to Joe Biden here, okay? And I'm gonna play him on mute here, okay? Because the guy is he's just not well. And they know it. And my sister, she got mad because I actually talk about this. And, you know, like, how do you make fun of an old man who's definitely wrong? I'm like, your party nominated him to be their president. He opened himself up to fair game. His wife should be ashamed. All his handlers should be ashamed. But this is not really about Biden winning. They know Biden probably won't even survive the first term. What they're trying to do is use him to get a unelectable person in there like Stacey Abrams, who would never win a national election. So, but if she's the vice president, he is incapacitated, she becomes the president. Or Kamala Harris, who literally, and Google this, I'm not being sexist here, she literally got her start in politics by sleeping with Willie Brown in San Francisco. Yeah, in the age of like 20s and 30s, she's like in her 20s or 30s, and she's sleeping with like this really old man. Okay, and I know, we got Melania Trump, but she ain't running for office. Okay? So let's not kid ourselves. This guy's not really running for office. The Democrat Party's trying to install a candidate to become president as the vice president when this president gets incapacitated, if he wins, okay? And this is one of them, is this little gem here, the Gretch, as her supporters like to call her, Big Gretch, like she's a football player, kind of looks like one, okay? So, she's probably out of the running. We already know that. They're all pushing for people of color to come in. It's not going to happen. All of a sudden now she's a federalist because she does not want to expose herself, Cuomo, and Wolf as idiots that they are for putting old people mixed in with COVID patients, the most vulnerable group possible. Most vulnerable group possible. This is what a dumb move that they did. All right, the world's on fire, guys. You know it. I know it. I don't like it, but it's on fire. And, you know, this is happening under Gretchen's. This is right in Gretchen's backyard. Yeah, this gym. Her backyard. We have armed Black Lives Matter protesters, or whatever they are, directing traffic, stopping motorists, and pointing their weapons at him. Let's watch a little clip of this video here.
We all in this together.
All right, again, fast forward. Here he comes with his weapon.
Making sure our voices are heard.
They're blocking traffic. A motorcycle comes up.
We are the people for the people. All power to the people.
So first, they're acting like little cops here saying, you're not going that way. Okay, they have no authority, by the way, to be doing that. And what does this guy do?
Not going this way. This way is not an option. This way is not an option.
Boom. You see that weapon pointed right at that guy?
Run this over, I'm going to protect my crowd. I'm going to protect my crowd. No, can't ride anywhere in this direction.
So he's trying to say he's pointing his weapon at him because he revved his engine. First of all, that is not deadly force. Second of all, this is all happening and you can't see it. But back over here, there's actually police officers witnessing this thing who've been told to stand down by their liberal mayor and their governor, Governor Whitmer.
You can run that way once we leave, because we got cars behind us right here. All your eyes are pointing. If you were standing here and somebody acting like they was running you over, you'd be saying, I check that bike off on your head. You revved the engine. You revved your engine. You revved your engine. Let's go. The police right there. Hey, you want to talk to them? They're right there. They're right there. Hey, they're right there.
There you go. There's the police right there. You see him? So he goes to call the police. Rightfully, he goes to call the police. And they're telling him, hey, cops are right here. What in the hell is going on, America? What's going on? This is lawlessness. This is not legal. This is lawlessness. You cannot have people, and by the way, had this been a 2A rally with mostly white men, Second Amendment, and we also have a diversity in the 2A movement, as we see. I got several black co-hosts who are gun owners themselves and pro Second Amendment. But if this was a 2A rally, and we decided to block streets, we'd be arrested then. If for some reason they turned a blind eye to us blocking streets with our AR-15s, and we started stopping motorists and pointing our weapons at them, especially if it was a white guy pointing at a black guy in a car or on a motorcycle, the media would be going apeshit. I have actually reached out to Lansing State Journal, Detroit News, Detroit Free Press. I haven't heard back from any of them saying, hey, why are you not reporting on this? Because if this happened with white Second Amendment supporters out there stopping traffic and actually pointing at the ready an AR-15, which we don't even do as law enforcement for that, or as soldiers, the National Guard doesn't even do that when they get called in these situations. This untrained guy has a weapon pointed at that motorist with his safety off, as they said. He noticed, the motorcyclist. While the cops are standing by, this would be on CNN, ABC, MSNBC, NBC, Washington Post, New York Times would be covering it, The Hill, Politico, all those places would be like, oh my God, how dare they? How dare they do such a thing? Who do they think they are? We need gun control. And by the way, isn't it convenient now that this liberal left who's been calling for gun control are carrying AR-15s? I mean, I could go on for an hour, and I'm not going to because I got other topics to go on to, but I could go on forever about the hypocrisy of this video alone. This is rank freaking hypocrisy. Rank hypocrisy. I cannot believe what I am seeing here.
You are in the free speech zone. No safe spaces allowed. Nightcaps with Nate.
Man. All right. I'm going to get on just a couple more bad videos. Lots of videos today. I love videos because, they're just a little more interesting than watching just me. But coming over here, I think humanity in these liberal cities is dead for the most part. But I'm going to show some good news videos in a minute. But these people, I'm going to call them, I don't even know what to call them. They're just, you do watch the video and then we'll decide together what we should call them. All right, because this is just straight nastiness. This is a homeless guy, by the way, laying right here. Oh. No. Oh. Yeah, that guy's been taken to the hospital. This homeless guy, all he was doing is sleeping, minding his own business. He's been taken to the hospital with third-degree burns on his body because these gems of society in New York City. Oh. No. Oh. Let me just tell you what, New York City. New York City, I said this last night on the show, it's just like Michigan. We had a guy back in the 80s named Blanchard, destroyed the economy. A guy named Engler came in the 90s, a Republican, fixed it. Then what do? They go with Governor Granholm for 8 years, destroys the economy. So they bring in a guy named Snyder, a Republican, they vote in to fix it. And now they got Gretchen Whitmer. Same thing in New York City. New York City was a hellhole back in the day. Then a guy named Giuliani got elected, a Republican, a strong, tough Republican, and he fixed that city. He turned Manhattan around. He got rid of a lot of the corruption. Oh my God, did he do wonders with New York City. So much so that it got so expensive that a lot of people can't even live there anymore. But it became a beautiful city with a lower crime rate than Flint, Michigan. Well, Flint, Michigan is one of the highest crime rates. But then even Grand Rapids, Michigan, we'll just say. Even though it was huge. Per capita, it was safer to be in New York City. And then 5 years ago, they decided that they're going to get this Jem de Blasio in as mayor and Cuomo as a governor. Did you know that shootings are up like 538% this year? Over year, 238%. It was some 3-digit number. I don't care if it's 100%, 150%. That city is going to shit. And it ain't even just from these riots. It's because the cops feel disrespected. A lot of them won't even take calls anymore. There's stories even out of France where the cops will not protect themselves anymore because they're scared of being put up on charges or losing their job or called a racist. Yes, we do need police reform and how we initially deal with people. But I'm just going to go and I'm going to say it straight up. That cop should not be on trial in Georgia because he was polite and that dude resisted arrest, grabbed his taser. That's not the same as George Floyd. We need to start supporting our police and rooting out the bad ones. And you guys can put all the hate mail you want, do whatever you want. But I got plenty of people of all different races and ethnicities that totally agree with me. All right, here's some street justice. A lot of people said that they've seen just the first part of this video. They didn't get to see all of it, so I'm going to show you all of it. Basically, this guy comes out and just starts beating on this white lady. Oh.
Stop that shit.
I'm thinking it's either like, I think they know each other somehow because he's like yelling at her like a husband or a boyfriend, girlfriend. It's domestic violence maybe. But man, the people weren't having it in the hood. Let me fast forward a little bit for time. So she's back up. She's obviously not knocked out anymore, but he starts walking away. Hit her so hard that he hurt his shoulder. Now look what happens. And she goes back there. She doesn't even call the cops. I don't get it. Maybe she has kids in there or something. Oh, man. Here we go. All right, so they're y'all on camera, dumbasses. But I don't agree with vigilante justice. But after seeing what that dude did to that poor woman, man, I can't say I feel too bad for him. I think the cops should have handled it. By the way, the guy was laying out for a little while. Let's see if I can fast forward here.
Before they came up here, he hit her one time. She was in the field, sleep.
He's starting to move now, but he's hurt. He's hurt. Buddy of mine, Josh Jewell, says I would have put 13 hollow tips right in his shit. Excuse my language. Levi Ernst, I have seen people post the first half of this video, but never saw the back half where they serve some sweet justices. Idiot. And then Ben Walker was saying, quote, not on camera, dumbasses. Well, sometimes, maybe a little bit of that, actually gives us a sense of goodness after seeing them blowing up a homeless guy with firecrackers. And what I mean by them is people, general, okay? Here's a good thing. The protesters keep saying, oh, all cops are bad, all cops are bad. No, they're not. Look at this, man. This will warm your heart up a little bit, okay? So when they want to defend police departments and stuff, they want to defend the 90, 95, 99% of the people that actually go out and want to make a difference in life. Not just the bad 1%. Here's a guy who thinks he's going to defend against a cop in full gear, by the way.
You already got him. You too close?
No.
He caught it. He came off camera, but he did catch it with one hand, it looks like.
What happened?
Sports Center. Not sure what police department is, but kudos to them, man. All cops are not bad. ACAB, that's a bullcrap statement. I think most cops are good. Most cops want to do good. Some are bad. Some just need training on how to initially walk up to a situation without heightening the sense of anxiety, maybe talking to people. But this right here is exactly what good policing looks like. Now, I'm assuming that this is before the pandemic because none of them have masks on, but that's just an assumption. I don't know. This could have been any time. But you know what? I want to show that all cops are not bad, that ACAB, the liberal left, has lost their freaking minds. And I think the silent majority is going to pay him back because right now it's all over the news. I think people inherently want good order and discipline in our country. And this crap that's happening all over our country is just bad for our country. It looks bad. It looks like we're edging towards civil war. You know, our media, our adversaries are probably like, man, they're looking for ways to do it. They're looking for ways to come in and attack us while we're. The Bible says a house divided against itself will fall. Okay, and I'm not a huge Bible thumper. I am a Christian, but I was raised on the Bible by my parents, and you'll see Judy Carson sometimes commenting on here. The Thompsons, I was raised around Christians, and one of the scriptures I learned was a house divided against itself will fall. And right now we are edging towards that divided house. The liberal left does not care about you. They only care about themselves and their special interests. They do not. The only time you will get, and that's why I always make fun of Democrat politicians, because the only time they find God and Jesus is every 4 years to go campaign in black churches. Besides that, they do this kind of stuff. Another church being desecrated. This is the same church that they already caught on fire once, and the liberal bishop came out against Trump because of his photo op when he was trying to stand in solidarity with Christians, and they blasted on him. But now, just like they wanted a Chaz, Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone in Seattle, now they're calling this the Black House Autonomous Zone. They tried to set it up last night, and Trump's having none of it. Okay? So this is the nonsense that's happening right now in our country. In fact, let's show this little video here. Warning, there is some major language here. But this is what's happening, by the way. Liberalism, I forgot who it was, but they rightfully said liberalism cannot stand on its own. Why? Because as soon as they quit fighting conservatives, they start fighting each other. Because they're catty like that. Let me see if I can make this a little larger for all you viewers. Okay. Yes, I use PowerPoint because it's easy. That's what I grew up on in the Army. Here you go.
No, you get the fuck out of here.
All right, so that's a dude. That is a cross-dressing dude in pink on a thing and panties and a bra yelling at other liberals who don't want him there.
Fucking speaking up for Black Lives Matter, are you? Where's your fucking megaphone? Where's your fucking megaphone? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Fuck off. Get the fuck out. Fuck off. No, you can get the fuck out of here. Seriously, stop this. No, seriously. There's a fucking informant disinformation campaign against me. No, I'm not going. No, you go. No, I'm not. Picking up for Black Lives Matter. Get the fuck away from me. What the fuck?
Now, I don't know who that dude is, but he's not a very cute girl, just to let you know. And, I mean, this is what happens, man. That's called liberal on liberal violence. So, going back to the Baz, right? That's that where they're trying to get the Black House Autonomy Zone, and they're spray painting, and they're trying to kick the D.C. police and the federal police off Lafayette Square and take down the statue, and Trump said, hell no. First of all, you got to understand that D.C., it operates like a state or a city, but it's not really. It's a district. They have home rule laws, but guess what? At the end of the day, the federal government's in charge of the district, and so Trump can actually legally use military aid if necessary. They do have a National Guard that Trump can also use, and also the mayor can use as needed. But over in Chaz, which is the utopia, this was the utopia for the left, remind you, they actually had another shooting. So I think this is the third shooting in 4 nights over there in their police zone. So another day, literally another shooting in Chaz or CHOP, as they want to call it now, the Capitol Hill occupational protest zone. The liberal left's utopia zone, described as the summer of love by their weak-ass Democrat mayor, turned out not to be so lovely. Levi Ernst said the freedom to commit heinous crimes without police intervention. So much so that there are videos blocking the police from even coming in there. So finally, this weak-ass governor Inslee and this weak mayor, this female, I forget her name, looks like a liberal. Looks like an old middle-aged liberal. Just weak. Can you imagine any of these people trying to take on China, by the way? Yeah, right. But she's saying, okay, we're going to start phasing out CHOP. We got to get back in there and get some police in there. And they're like, hell no, you're not. And she's like, well, and from what I hear, she's kind of backpedaling a little bit. Here's the deal. And the reason why they changed it from Chaz to CHOP, by the way, is legal reason. You can't create an autonomous zone in the United States. The only autonomous zones in the United States are federal, and it's not even autonomous from the federal government, just from states, are Indian reservations. Okay? The Native Americans have their reservations through treaty. You declare an autonomous zone, there was another thing that they're trying to tear down all the statues commemorating it. They're doing nothing more than what the Confederates did. They're starting a civil war. Autonomous zones. There is no autonomous zones in the United States, period. They're starting a civil war with the people. They are declaring war on the government, at a minimum, the state and city in which they're doing it, but also the federal government. It's insurrection. That's what the whole Insurrection Act was all about. This is when Trump could legally draw up federal troops and take care of it. He said he could take care of it in an hour if Inslee would just sign on to it too, because he wants to do it with the state doing it. But now they're trying to do it in Washington, D.C. too. And that's just not going to fly. Not with this president. Maybe with Biden. Or maybe with one of these wokesters that get in office. But I'm telling you what, if these mayors can't even run a city, and these governors can't even run their state, why in the hell would we elect them to be our president of the United States? Are you crazy? Absolutely nuts. Also on the right-hand side, let me show this. My boy Darius Mayfield, he is that very enlightened, smart, black conservative out of New York that comes on my show. You also see him on OAN, sometimes on Fox News. He does all that volunteer work where he puts his money and his time where his mouth is, and he actually operates cleanups in Philadelphia, and I think he's got one coming up in Newark or Camden, New Jersey. But he brings up this point. Maybe disbanding police departments isn't such a great idea, huh? Shootings in urban communities all over the country have ticked up since it was thrown out there. 102 people shot, including a 3-year-old killed. Where is the protest? Yes, shooting 102 people shot, 14 fatally, including a 3-year-old little boy in New York City. Or not New York City, I'm sorry, Chicago. That's sad, man. These are the same people, the same party that wants to control the whole country. They can't even control a city. So much so, it used to be, well, you know, there's just poverty in cities. Yeah, there's poverty in Appalachia too, but they're not killing, there's not 100 shootings in all of Appalachia combined. You could take all the cities of Appalachia from all those states that comes up right up here through West Virginia where I live, all the way up, and I bet you combined there wasn't 102 shootings and 14 fatalities through murder combined. That's just one Democrat city there. So it's not, they have a problem with liberalism. They have a problem with too many churches that aren't doing enough outreach in the community. And I know there's a lot of good churches out there, but I've been through Detroit where there's a church on every corner. And I'm like, man, imagine if they had somebody on every corner, you know, actually helping the poor and all that stuff. I'm not blaming just the church, but I blame leadership of the cities and states of these places. And we're gonna give them the keys to the entire country to run. You're nuts, crazy. Here's my favorite. Oh, in fact, she's about to make this point because this is one of the big things that Trump is coming on. This Kylie McEnany, if Trump was more like her, he would be winning. I hope she runs for president someday. I really do. I know the media will beat her to death, but man, she's a tough lady. She is the slayer of all that. So she's about to set the record straight on these cities that are ran by Democrats.
And one local news outlet tragically reported that multiple teenagers were killed in Chicago this weekend as well. In Minneapolis, 11 people were shot and one person killed. One individual was a father of two who worked as a barber, and our hearts break for this family. Also in Democrat-run New York City, we saw that the New York Post reported that there was one shooting per hour this Saturday, absolutely inexcusable, with 24 people shot on Saturday alone. And then in Democrat-run Seattle, we've seen the autonomous zone, otherwise known as CHOP, C-H-O-P. One person was shot and killed in this autonomous zone run by radical anarchists. And also, we saw another shooting there yesterday as well. And Democrat mayor of the city called CHOP, quote, the summer of love, but it has been nothing of the sort, clearly, with two individuals shot, one person shot and killed. It is the responsibility of governors to protect their states, to police their streets. The police power rests at the state level. And we expect mayors to step up and to do their job, and governors to step up and do their job in the mold of President Trump, who secured D.C. after a night of lawlessness 2 weeks ago. Finally, the defund police movement is misguided. It will only hurt the vulnerable citizens of American cities the most. It's sad and it is shameful.
Amen. Man, where did this girl? That is the best press secretary in my lifetime. She is awesome. I hope she runs for president someday. Maybe her and Candace Owens together. Candace might have put her foot in her mouth a few too many times, but Candace does speak the truth, and she's one of the first that was out there. Actually, Candace used to be anti-Trump until he got into office and really started being very pro-black. But man, that is one tough lady right there. And she's right. 20 out of, in fact, I did the numbers. Believe it or not, Republicans do have some big cities under their belts, including San Diego, Jacksonville, cities of 500, 800,000 people. Okay, I don't know how big they are, but guess where our first city lands on the top 100 most violent cities in America? All the way down to number 50. Okay, cities that are small even, like Myrtle Beach, led by Democrat, or Flint, Michigan, or Gary, Indiana, two of the most dangerous, vile cities in America. Hopefully on their way back, where I grew up. Detroit, Michigan, which used to have 2 million people, now has maybe 600,000 people in it because everybody left it. Yes, it's on its way back, the downtown area. I hope that these riots and stuff didn't ruin that progress that the owner of Quicken Loans, Rocket Mortgage, has put into that city. Cities like Cleveland, Chicago, New York, L.A., Houston, which, by the way, I stand with the cops there. Atlanta. It's only going to get worse, folks, in these cities because the Democrats have shot themselves in the foot. They painted themselves in a corner. They are the executive branch of their government, whether it's a city or state, and they have not even stood up for their own law enforcement. Yes, there are some bad apples. I say it over and over again. Get rid of them. We do need police reform in the way that we interact with citizens. But to defund police and to be all about it, for the D.C. mayor to take an entire block of beautiful property, by the way, one of the biggest tourist areas in the nation, and where people come from all across the world to come see our nation's capital, the shining hill on the city, what we call the swamp, but they call Washington, D.C., and she goes and renames a whole plaza, calls it Black Lives Matter Plaza. Hey, I'm all about the idea of Black Lives Matter. In fact, I like what my sister said, who's a wokester. Black Lives Matter 2 is what it should say, right? But the organization itself is a corrupt funding mechanism for the DNC. The same DNC that controls these cities that Kaylee was talking about, that can't even control their own cities, where shootings are up all across the nation because of lawlessness. America is starving for good order and discipline, and I'm one of those Americans calling for that good order and discipline. Some other news besides that stuff. Trump says that Americans will get a very generous second stimulus check. My moderate friend Sean says, working on that re-election, I'm down for it. My vote is easily swayed when I equally hate both candidates. He's like, at least he's honest about it. Thanks, Sean. Very funny comment. But we knew that we weren't going to go as far as the Democrats to do a $2,000 a month stimulus. Why? One, our country's $26 trillion in debt. We can't afford it. Let's be real. We're the richest nation, but we're also highly, highly, highly in debt. In other words, let's say that you make $100,000 a year. If you're using that That's like being $100,000 a year, but being $40,000 in debt. That's basically where we are as a nation. Is it unsustainable? No. I mean, a lot of us have mortgages and stuff and all that. So, even if you make $100,000, you might have a $250,000 mortgage and stuff. But we're getting dangerously close to where we may not ever be able to pay this stuff back. We could right now. We could have a 30-year debt reduction plan, and if every president stuck to it, which we won't because we'll have Democrats in Senate and House that just will love to spend. But we're in trouble, man. Our outlays, they think for Social Security and Medicare alone is like $100 trillion. Okay? $100 trillion. We only bring in about $19 trillion per year as a country. And that doesn't even account for all the other people that are going to retire eventually. But we'll stick with the good news because we do need some stimulus to get this economy hopping back up again so that we can. In fact, the fastest way to get out of debt is to grow the economy, not cut taxes, it's to cut taxes really and grow the economy, but really just to grow the economy and cut spending at the same time. That's the quickest way out of debt. The slowest way out of debt and the most dangerous way out of debt is to raise taxes. I know a lot of liberals are like, well, then raise taxes. Raise taxes. There's only so many taxes we could raise before people just start moving. Heck, I've even thought about moving to Honduras because I can live on my pension like a king. They beat up the president. I brought this up last night, but 8 million viewers watched the Fox News coverage of Trump's Tulsa rally. You know what's crazy? My friend Sean, that guy that commented down there on the lower left there, he works in the media, and he's like, no, there's no such thing as media bias. It's all market-driven. If it was market-driven, then wouldn't NBC, CBS, or just let's go with the cable, CNN and MSNBC, wouldn't they wanted a piece of that pie? 8 million viewers, that's the most viewers ever to watch on a Saturday, Fox News. 8 million. And then another 4 million people online. So yeah, he got beat up because his rally didn't fill up a 19,000 seat thing in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of social upheaval, in the middle of danger for families to be in big cities right now because of all the protesting going on. But man, he sure made it up in viewers. And he laid out his vision. Right now, the polls, like I said, are inaccurate because they're only doing registered voters and there's suppression polls. And, I have a whole nother video. You can go on YouTube and look at the video that says why pollsters suck or something like that. But Trump is not in as bad shape as other people think he is. Because as soon as Biden gets out there, he's going to hammer Biden. And Biden is not well, folks. And it's too late to pull him. Too late to pull him. Biden will get a little bump when he announces his VP because the media is going to fawn over whoever the VP is. They're not going to treat his VP pick like they did Sarah Palin. Or they even did Mike Pence. Okay? They're going to beat they're always going to beat up the Republican VP pick, but they're going to love on whoever he picks as his VP pick. Which, by the way, a long time ago I predicted it was going to be the New Mexico governor. I still think it is because he needs a Hispanic vote. And more Hispanics are moving over to the conservative side. Because guess what? Hispanics left upheaval. They left gangsterism and lawlessness in their own country. That's why a lot of them came here and started families. So they hate seeing it in our country, in their new country. So I think a lot of more Hispanics are going to come over to the Republican side, and black men, as you can tell. All right. Some more good news, because I like to end on good news. Although this isn't the last story, it's second to last story, so if you're counting down. Basically, a commenter wrote this on this chemical and engineering news site. I wish we could read this type of article, one based on fact and not politics, in the mainstream newspapers, quote unquote. It is factual and optimistic and not meant to scare or control. A well-written and researched article. This is from a magazine that probably nobody reads called Chemical and Engineering News, unless you're into engineering and chemical engineering specifically. But COVID-19 vaccines and antibodies advance even faster than expected, thanks to the leadership of Trump, which he will get no credit for this, but he started this Operation Warp Speed, I think is what it was called. But because of that, several drug companies are keeping pace with their ambitious timelines, and some are moving even faster than they initially predicted. 3 companies with funding from the Trump administration, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, and Moderna, are on track to distribute the first commercial batches of their experimental vaccines in late 2020 or early 2021. Guess what? For all you people that love that Jo Jorgensen, which I do love, and I do agree with 99% of her principles, but in a crisis, a libertarian candidate would have never given money to a private company to develop drugs this quick. I disagree with that. I think that there is a limited role for the government to get involved during a time of national crisis, but that is some good news. If that was regarding Obama or Biden, man, the media would be all over it, praising them just like they did Cuomo, which didn't even deserve it because Cuomo actually killed off. Cuomo has the highest death rate of any state per capita. Cuomo has put sick patients in with elderly patients like an idiot. Cuomo, decent guy, don't get me wrong. Sounds like a nice guy, kind of like a Bill Clinton. I don't think he's as liberal as de Blasio and all that. But they pumped him up. They pumped up Gretchen Whitmer. But, man, they had beat up on all these Republicans, and it's turning out more and more. I think that the Republicans are right on this. Final story of the day is none. Okay, that was the final story of the day. So, hey, hopefully that you enjoyed this, another 50-minute episode of this. Tomorrow night we will be back, 9 p.m. right here. And if you have any comments that you would like to do, you can continue to comment if you want. And if not, I will see you tomorrow.
This has been Nightcaps with Nate. Please join Nate for a nightcap every weeknight at 9 Eastern here on Facebook Live.
Peace.